I'm Rainbow Sparkle, and this is a story of the Enchanted Wood by Enid Blyton, Chapter 1. There were once 3 children called Joe, Bessie and Fanny. All their lives they had lived in a town, but now their father had a job in the country, so that they were all to move there as soon as ever they could. "What fun to be in the country," said Joe. "I shall learn all about animals and birds." "And I shall pick as many flowers as I want to," said Bessie. "And I shall have a garden of my own," said Fanny. When the day came for the move, all the children were excited. A small van came to the door and 2 men helped father and mother to pile everything into it. When it was full, the van drove away and the children put on their coats and hats to go with their father and mother to catch a train at the station. "Now we're off!" cried Joe. The country, said Bessie. "We might see fairies there," said Fanny. The train whistled and chuffed out the station. The children pressed their noses to the window and watched the dirty houses and tall chimneys race by. How they hated the town. How lovely it would be to be in the clean country with flowers growing everywhere and birds singing in hedges. "We might have adventures in the country," said Joe. "There will be streams and hillsides, big fields and dark woods. Oh, it will be lovely." "You won't have any more adventures in the country than you'll have in the town," said their father. "I dare say you will find it very dull." But that's where he was quite wrong. My goodness, the things that happened to those 3 children. They arrived at last at a tiny station where they were to get out. A sleepy-looking porter put their 2 bags on a barrow and said he would bring them along later. Off they all went down the winding country lane, chattering loudly. "I wonder what our cottage will be like," said Bessie. "And I wonder if we've got a garden," said Fanny. But long before they reached their new home, they were tired out and could not bother to say a word to each other. Their cottage was 5 miles from the station, and as their children's father could not afford to do anything but walk there, it seemed a very long way indeed. There was no bus to take them, so the tired children dragged their feet along, wishing for a cup of milk and a cosy bed. At last they got there, and oh dear me, it was worth all the walk, for the cottage was sweet. Roses hung from the walls, red, white and pink, and honeysuckle was all around the door. It was lovely. The van was at the door and the 2 men were moving all the furniture into the little house. Father helped, whilst Mother went to the light and the kitchen fire to make them all a hot drink. They were so tired, but they could do nothing but drink hot milk, eat a few biscuits, and tumble into their roughly made beds. Joe looked out the window, but he was too sleepy to see properly. In 1 minute, the 2 girls in their small room were asleep, and Joe too, in his even tinier room. What fun it was to wake up in the morning and see the sun shining, and all through all the strange windows. It didn't take Joe, Bessie and Fanny very long to dress. Then they were out in the little garden, running through the grass that had grown so long and smelling the roses that grew all around. Mother cooked eggs for them, and they ate their breakfast hungrily. "It was lovely to be in the country," said Joe, looking out the windows of the faraway hills. "We can grow vegetables in the garden," said Bessie. "There will be glorious walks all around," said Fanny. That day, everyone helped to get the little house straight and tidy. Father was going to work the next day. Mother hoped there would be someone of them who would do the washing. Then she would make enough money to be able to buy hens. That would be lovely. "I shall collect eggs each morning and evening," said Fanny happily. "Let's go out and see what the country is like," said Joe. "Can you spare us for an hour, Mother?" "Yes, run along," said Mother. So off the 3 children went out to the tiny white front gate and into the lane. They explored all around and about. They ran across a field where pink clover was full of bees. They paddled in a small brown stream that chattered away to itself under the willow trees in the sunshine. And then they suddenly came to a wood. It was not far from the cottage at the back. It looked quite an ordinary wood, except that the trees were a darker green than usual. A narrow ditch separated the wood from the overgrown lane. "A wood," said Bessie in delight. "We shall be able to have picnics here." "It's a rather mysterious sort of wood," said Joe. "Don't you think so, Bessie?" "Well, the trees are rather thick, but they seem about the same as any others," said Bessie. "They don't quite," said Fanny. "The noises the leaves make are different. Listen." Fanny was right. The leaves of the trees in the wood did not rustle in quite the same way others of the trees did. "It's almost as if they're really talking to one another," said Bessie. "Whispering secrets, real secrets, that we just can't understand." "It's a magic wood," said Fanny suddenly. Nobody said anything. They just stood and listened. Wish, 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 went the trees in the wood and bent towards one another in a friendly way. "There might be fairy folk here," said Bessie. "Shall we jump over the ditch and go in?" "No," said Joe. "We might get lost. Let's find our way around before we go into the woods like this." "Joe, Bessie, Fanny," suddenly came from their mother's voice from the cottage not far off. "Tea time, tea time." The children felt hungry at once. They forgot about the strange wood and ran back to their new home. Mother had new bread with strawberry jam for them, and they ate a whole loaf between them. Father came in just as they were finishing. He had been shopping for Mother in the village 3 miles away, and he was hungry and tired. "We've been exploring everywhere, Father," said Bessie, pouring him a big cup of tea. "We found a lovely wood," said Fanny. "It's a strange sort of wood," said Joe. "The trees really seem to be talking to one another, Father." "Oh, that must be the wood I've heard about this evening," said Father. "It has a strange name, children." "What's it called?" said Joe. "It's called the Enchanted Wood," said their father. "People don't go in there if they can help it. It's funny to hear things like this nowadays, and I don't expect there's anything really strange about the wood, but just be careful not to go too far into it in case you get lost." The children looked excited at one another. "The Enchanted Wood! What a lovely name!" And each child secretly thought the same thought. "I shall go and explore the Enchanted Wood as soon as ever we could." Their father set them to work in the overgrown garden after tea. Joe had to pull up the tough thistles, and the 2 girls had to weed the untidy vegetable bed. They spoke to one another in joyful voices. "The Enchanted Wood! We knew there was something funny about it. I guess that's where the fairies are," said Fanny. "We'll do some exploring as soon as ever we can," said Bessie. "We'll find out what those whispering trees are saying. We'll know all their secrets of the wood before many weeks are past." And that night, at bedtime, all 3 stood at the window, looking out into the dark to the whispering wood behind the cottage. What would they find in the Enchanted Wood?